In this edition of reShape 333, I want to talk about how to be a disruptive church and how creating disruption in 3 specific ways will increase your neighborhood effectiveness as a local congregation. And I want to do it in the next 333 seconds. Let's get at it. Financial investors often love to talk about disruptive stocks. These disruptive companies are companies that see their value skyrocket, much to the delight of their stockholders. And this meteoric rise happens in a relatively short time span. High-risk companies to invest in because they're doing things that no one has done before. They're not responding to the current reality, nor are they simply doing what everyone else is doing, only better. These companies are creating the future. They are led by visionaries who are seeing the future before anybody else sees it. It's an Amazon. Since that IPO was introduced, Amazon share prices have grown over 12,000%. It's a Tesla, up 3,600% in 10 years. It's a Shopify, a Canadian company that if you invested 5 years ago with $1,000, 5 years later you'd have $35,000. Since 2016, up 1,400%. These are disruptive companies, risk-taking companies that are creating the future rather than simply responding to the present. So is it possible for your church to become a disruptive church, a church that's willing to take a risk, a church that's committed to understanding the current reality and creating a new future by doing things differently? So let me give to you 3 disruptive behaviors for you to consider. Number 1, I want to challenge you to prioritize connection over content. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying to go shallow on content. I'm not saying a mile wide and an inch deep. I'm not downplaying the importance of deep discipleship. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But what I am saying is that good content and good teaching is more accessible than ever before. So is it possible that disruptive churches of the future will begin to make available in increasingly creative ways opportunities for deeper content and learning? More voices. Different voices. Some of those voices simply now because of online accessibility. And here's the question. If that meant that you had to be less concerned about dumping a boatload of content, how might that change what a gathering could look like? Could the content presentation be shorter? Could there be greater opportunity for conversation and dialogue? Could a gathering space be arranged in different ways that would encourage community more than sitting in rows? Could gatherings offer now new and creative elements that increase conversation and increase friendship building? If a pandemic has revealed anything, it's revealed that there's an increased desire for relationship and connection, and people are looking for community, and disruptive churches will shape the future by drilling deep into connection. Number 2, disruptive churches will prioritize equally both their digital congregation and their live congregation. The global pandemic, like it or not, forced everyone online if they were to gather at all. For some of us, it felt like second best. For many of us, we missed the live gathering. We missed the ability to hug a friend. We missed the conversation in the parking lot afterwards. But for others, online church provided a significant first step toward Jesus in the comfort and in the safety of their home at a time that was convenient for them. They entered in. They found hope. They enjoyed laughter. Some met Jesus. Many found community. For some, it may in fact always be enough. While many of us might see that as a lesser option, your church can't go back now. In fact, now in this day, your church must figure out how to engage better and how to engage more with that new part of your congregation. They may never enter your building, but they now are a part of your church. And disruptive churches will seize this opportunity and create a future church. Number 3, disruptive churches will prioritize multiple over single. Churches that create the future will not exist as a single site, single location, single gathering time congregation, but rather disruptive churches that shape the future will gather at multiple times in various locations. They'll be in homes and cafes and seniors complexes and community centers, and they will in fact be legitimate congregations all tethered together as one church. Large churches will do it. Small churches will do it. In fact, small churches might even find it easier to do than larger churches, but disruptive churches will multiply themselves beyond Sunday morning into multiple congregations. Perhaps I've given you just enough to confuse you, or maybe enough to irritate you. Perfect. Take some time personally and with a leadership team to discuss these three disruptive behaviors.